What's up, everybody? Hope you guys are having a great day today. Today's video, we're actually going to talk about a little history here in Zebulon, North Carolina. One thing I love about this channel is trying to keep some of the rich history that we have here out there for people to know about. And today is going to be a great podcast. We are actually going to talk about President Harry Truman's trips out here. That's right, to Zebulon, North Carolina. Let's get into it, guys. Guys, so one of the first sources we're actually pulling from here is going to be from the trumanlibrary.gov. This is National Archives. Now, every president has a museum, so to speak, a archive, so to speak, that you guys can look at online through the government that actually tracks everything that they've done and everywhere they went to. So this is coming from the Harry S. Truman National Archives Museum Records. And you guys can go to this particular website, trumanlibrary.gov, and you can actually type in Zebulon and find this information if you would like to see it. This is E.C. Daniel in his Zebulon, North Carolina drugstore. Now read this, you guys. E.C. Daniel, Clifton Daniel's father, in his drugstore in Zebulon, North Carolina. Caption: when a man named Harry Truman ran a haberdashery. I had to look up what a haberdashery is. Evidently, this is a store that sells sewing supplies such as buttons, the different things that you sew onto men's clothing. That's what I found out. If you guys feel like that's not the right terminology, let me know in the comments. I just love that word.
Haberdashery.
Store in Kansas City, Missouri. Many years ago, the odds were long indeed that his path would ever cross with that of another man named E.C. Daniel, who operated a drugstore in Zebulon, North Carolina. But a great deal happened since those days. Mr. Truman went in the White House as president, and his daughter Margaret won fame in her own right as a singer and entertainer. The son of Mr. Daniel of the drugstore also won fame as a newspaperman at home and abroad. And eventually he met the daughter of Mr. Truman, and so they'll be married next month. And the paths of the ex-storekeeper from Kansas City and the ex-storekeeper from Zebulon will intersect on the bridal path. This is an article from the Houston Post on March 14th, 1956. There's a picture right here of Mr. E.C. Daniel. I'm hoping they're going to let me show this online. This particular source that we're pulling from is Capital Area Preservation. So this is the E.C. and Elvah Daniel House right here. We're looking at a very historical house here in Zebulon, North Carolina. You know, that clearly, you know, is still in immaculate shape, probably due to some amazing upgrades here. So let's read into it. This is date 1918, 205 East Sycamore Street, Zebulon, North Carolina. E.C. and Elvah Daniel House at 205 East Sycamore Street in Zebulon is an excellent and intact example of a Craftsman Foursquare popular in Wake County's small towns in the early 20th century. The house was built as the family home of E.C. and Elvah Daniel and their son Clifton. The dwelling stands at the northwest corner of East Sycamore and North Gill Streets in the residential area northeast of the railroad tracks and the town's commercial district. E.C. Daniel owned a drugstore in Wakefield with Dr. Z.M. Caviness, later relocated to Zebulon. In 1912, Daniel was the full owner of the drugstore, renaming it Zebulon Drug Company, and by 1913, he was a pharmacist as well. Daniel also served as Zebulon's mayor in the first decades of the 20th century, and around 1924, owned the town's movie theater. That's pretty cool, man. I know there's a movie theater in Zebulon. We're going to talk about that in the coming weeks. I think it's across from what is now the Fall Line and also the Armando's Pizza. It's beside it. It's the building that's missing. You guys, hey, was it a different spot? I don't know. Let's figure it out together. You guys let me know, man. Tap your parents. Tap your grandparents. Let's get into that. Let's get into it. Let's preserve Zebulon through this podcast. He went on to assist in establishing the North Carolina Pharmaceutical Research Foundation at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill and the School of Pharmacy there as well. He was the state's Pharmacist of the Year in 1951 and served a term as president of the North Carolina Pharmaceutical Association. Wow, what an overachiever here that this guy was. A.C. Daniel Jr. wanted to be a journalist from the age of 12 and wrote for the local paper as a teenager. He graduated from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Some Tar Heels there, man. That's what's up. And worked for papers in Dunn and Raleigh. He eventually worked as a foreign correspondent and managing editor for the New York Times, and in 1956 married Margaret Truman, the only child of President Harry Truman and Bess Truman. President Truman and his wife visited the Daniels in their house in Zebulon in October 1958, and Harry returned for a second visit in December of 1960. This is pretty cool. This is pretty cool, guys. You know, you think about, you know, all the President Harry Truman saw. You know, his daughter ends up marrying Mr. Daniels here, and they end up, I think they actually ended up on the cover of a major magazine at the time. All right, guys, today you have it. President Truman visited Zebulon here. I've heard this story handed down for years and years and years and years and years from different people. What do you guys think? Are you guys aware of some information that I didn't mention here on this podcast? What do you guys think? That's pretty cool to me that we had a U.S. president that actually visited North Carolina here, and not just visited, actually came down to Zebulon, North Carolina. You know, clearly they did it due to his daughter marrying Mr. Daniel's son, EC. So you guys have a blessed day. Take care. You watch On Air with Nick Driver podcast. You guys take care.